So the Ministry of Foreign Affairs building here in Kyiv, I mean, it is an impressive building. Let's have a better look at it. Classic Stalinist architecture, bombastic, screaming conformity, and really kind of dull in a way, but man, it still is pretty big and impressive. But I've always wondered why it looks a little bit strange. The position on top of the hill, it's kind of a weird angle, doesn't really fit the context of the place. So I got curious, fell down a rabbit hole, and I found out why. In 1934, the Soviets moved the Ukrainian capital back from Kharkiv. They started planning a pompous government quarter in the city. Several locations were proposed, but it ended up being planned for the area between St. Michael's Cathedral and stretching towards Sofia Cathedral. An architectural competition was held. Well, two actually, because all these Soviet committees and architects couldn't agree on anything. Finally, a plan from the architect Joseph Longbard was selected and work started. So in order to make room for that bad boy behind me, they had to do some cleaning. First thing to go was St. Michael's Cathedral right here, legendary church. The Soviets knocked it down between 1934 and 1936. Monastery, all the buildings, everything was just flattened to the ground. This one was actually rebuilt in 1998, restored to its former glory. The Soviets, man, they really loved ripping down churches. But hey, fun fact, so do the Russians. They have destroyed or damaged over 700 religious sites in Ukraine since the start of the full invasion. So yeah, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. Am I right? The building that now houses the Ministry of Foreign Affairs was the first building to be built. It was the headquarters of the Central Committee of the Communist Party of Ukraine. Here's the famous map of Kyiv from 1803 by Malensky. Here's an aerial photo from the 1940s. This is Longbard's plan for the entire area. Longbard's plan would have destroyed the entire neighborhood to make an insanely wide street suitable for fancy parades and lined with government buildings and hotels. And here you can see why the building looks a bit weird. There were supposed to be two of them. Now it all makes sense. And in between, there were plans for a bombastic statue of Lenin. So probably somewhere in the middle of this walkway right here would have been this massive statue of Lenin. Nobody really knows how big it was going to be. At the end of the day, there was 40 meters. Then somebody said, oh, let's make it 100. Nobody knew. Nobody gives a shit now anyway. There would be crazy fancy stairs down to the Dnipro River, which would have replaced the funicular, which was built in 1905. The building was completed in 1939, and then everything just kind of stopped. Why? It turns out that the location was very hard to build on, so close to the edge of the hill, very complicated to stabilize it. The budget ballooned because of this, and the Soviet party leaders and committees kept changing their minds depending on their mood, and eventually they lost interest. So there you have it. Maybe you knew this, maybe you didn't, maybe you wondered about it. I don't know. I got the answer I was looking for. Super fascinating architectural story.